Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today's Monday, the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Iran has warned US forces from entering the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has said that cutting US troops in Germany will go a lot further, and Nigeria has summoned the South African envoy over xenophobic incidents in the country. So firstly, Iran's military said on Monday that American forces would be attacked if they entered the Strait of Hormuz after US President Donald Trump announced that Washington would help guide stuck vessels out of the key shipping passage. In a statement, they said that we warn any foreign military forces, especially the aggressive United States, that intends to approach or enter the Strait of Hormuz, as they will be targeted. He followed on saying that we have repeatedly stated that the security of the Strait of Hormuz is under the control of the armed forces of the Islamic Republic, and under all circumstances, any safe passage must be coordinated with these forces. So what? I think it's unlikely that the US can effectively control the Straits of Hormuz without putting boots on the ground, essentially due to Iranian missiles and drones that can be stationed on the shore and in the mountains surrounding the straits. They can effectively target any ships that enter, and the US can't really do much about it just due to the numbers of drones that Iran could put in the air. Like, you can have air defense that would cover the ships, but over a long period of time, these would be degraded by cheap low-cost drones flying at your ships, and eventually you would likely be hit. They've also mined the area, so while you're also trying to transit or move ships through the region, you have to be watching out for these mines, trying to clear the mines. It's a very complex task that would be extremely difficult, all while under constant missile and drone barrages coming from the shore. So I think it's unlikely they can do this without controlling the ground. And nothing much has really changed here. I don't think it's likely to change anytime soon. Without conducting further military operations, the US is unlikely to have any leverage over Iran when it comes to the Straits of Hormuz. We are getting close to the point where Iran will no longer be able to pump oil out of the ground, as they have nowhere to put it. So this could be an interesting time, and I have seen that. I think they put forward a new kind of peace deal today that looked at opening the straits quite fast, and it's possibly due to this pressure, but we are yet to see a result. And next, US President Donald Trump has said that he plans to cut the numbers of US troops in Germany a lot further, a day after they announced they would pull around 5,000 American service members out of the country. He said to reporters in Florida on Saturday that we're going to cut the numbers a lot further. A spokesperson from the Defense Department said the withdrawal would be completed in the next 6 to 12 months. And as part of the decision, they also said they were going to scrap a long-range Tomahawk missile battalion that was going to be sent to Germany. This all comes after a public spat between German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and Trump earlier this week, where Merz questioned Washington's exit strategy in the Middle East and said that Iran was humiliating the US at the negotiating table, which, prompted an angry response from Trump. So what? I think this is just further degrading of the relationship between the US and other NATO allies, particularly those in Europe. And I don't think it's likely to change much outside of, making US deployments to the Middle East a bit more difficult. Germany is a significant staging point for all US forces moving into the Middle East. So I don't think it's likely that they'll completely exit Germany anytime soon. But I do think this drawdown could, slow responses to incidents in the Middle East and make short-term deployments much more difficult, which is kind of only going to hurt the US in the long term. But it's interesting to see. I'm making a video today looking at the end of US hegemony, and this kind of relationship between the US and Europe is a big part of that. So check that out if you want to learn more. And lastly, Nigeria has summoned South Africa's acting High Commissioner to a meeting at the Foreign Embassy on Monday, citing growing anti-African migrant protests within the country. The move comes a week after Ghana's Foreign Minister held talks with South Africa's acting High Commissioner due to protests that alleged xenophobic incidents involving Ghanaians. So what? It's pretty interesting to see similar sentiments in South Africa as we're seeing in Europe, high levels of anti-immigrant sentiment, particularly against African neighbors. And it's easy for governments to blame outsiders rather than take responsibility themselves. This is something we see in Europe a lot, and likely something that would have happened in South Africa that led up to this situation. And I think it's likely to continue to grow and get worse as the economic situation for the country continues to degrade. The South African economy is not doing well, and it's unlikely to get any better anytime soon. So, as the country essentially goes down the gargler, it's likely they'll try and blame other people rather than themselves. And illegal immigration is a pretty easy target when it comes to this stuff, similar to how you see in Europe. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel. Make sure you give it a like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Appreciate it. See you.